I'm telling you what, that's crazy. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna light it up because we're close. My apologies for being tardy. But
Doctor,
yeah, everybody, I think
Doctor, I
everybody
love the
that's here.
American flag in the background.
What's that?
Hey,
I love Dr. Romero's American flag. in
You
the
don't like
back-
my American flag?
I like yours too. I gotta get myself one.
All right, I'm gonna change your, let me
made in
change
the
your
USA, by the
name.
way.
Yeah.
I'm a Peter, Tim,
Boss.
and Tim Bass with an A, right?
Yes.
All right, so
you
for
go.
those of you who had no idea what the heck's going on, we're Zoomly challenged today, apparently.
Zoomly challenged.
Zoomly. We're Zoomly challenged.
Mhm.
So welcome everybody. We'll get cooking. Oh, wait a second. I gotta get the right presentation too, don't we? Oh Lord. Oh
Wherever.
Lord.
We're Hawaii, we're DC, we're Florida.
I'm telling you, we're all right. So the question is, where are you from? And here's the question of the day is, where are you from? And then answer this question in the chat. I'll make sure it's open for everybody in the chat. This goes to everyone. And then everybody, can we do that? Can we make the chat for everybody? How do we? Man, I'm losing it.
Enable chat for everybody.
Everyone, I go to everyone. Can everybody chat? Try to chat. 'Cause it looks like something else is up. Oh, there we go. Everyone to everyone. There we go. I was hitting the wrong button. It's like the first time I've ever done this, Rafa.
You know,
All
you gotta get your act together.
I do. I've got to get my act together. All right, welcome everybody. And I do have the one, I have a bunch of people that did this on the way in. So John Weddle from VSB says necessary is one word. Complex is Carolyn Yeagle. Phenomenal says Joseph Hirsch. And Betty Lambert says indecisive. Very, very true. Requirements, Edward. Let's see. And Stephen, who did not answer the question with one word, but did say a mountain of opportunity protected by a labyrinth of process and procedures. I do believe that Stephen has encompassed exactly what the challenge is. So what's your one word? And we have Tony Livingston from Marvco, skeptical. Bamboo from what? No way. Is that really bamboo? Bambos. Resourceful. Sorry if I was busting on your name, Bambo. Let's see. Derek says complicated. Fred from Ballard Intelligence Security System Solutions says great customer. Let's see who was great. Ashok. I talked with you, Ashok. I think. Great. We're working on SBIR programs. What are SBIR programs? They are grants, right, Sally?
That's correct. There's SBIR and STTR.
Yes. And Cyrus says vast. Kendall, let's see who else got something in the chat. Bloated says Dr. Raphael. Helene made it in. Helene made it. Awesome. Tyann says challenging. Sally says terrifying. Wow. Let's see. All right. Who said what's your one word? One word for doing business with the government. Joseph says frustrating. I guarantee you're not the only one, Joseph. Let's see. Leroy said Thompson from Thompson. So great place to do business. Erica Summer from AT Consulting says big. Fernando from the George G. Glenner Alzheimer's Family Center says helpful. All right. I'm glad that's right.
There you go.
And Levias says new to this. Love it. Unknown says Shawan Taylor from Taylor Made Traffic Services. Map Kanju, Essential Cares Supplies says corrupt. There you go. All right, Mac. Michael, challenging. Kathy, difficult. All right, what else we got? Ron says overdone. Okay. All right, well, we'll get cooking. We got a bunch to do here. We're going to do a little different today. So buckle up because we're on a war path. We have $528 billion spent as of yesterday, $1.7 trillion left. That means 69% needs to be spent. And how long, Rafa?
Before the end of September,
Before the end of September. Why is it September? Why not December?
because October 1st is the new fiscal year, the new federal fiscal year. Yeah.
That's right. And last year they had to spend it all by 9/30 and they got to do it all over again, or they use it or lose it twice this year and next year because they won't give you that.
That's right.
So I did have something I wanted to do, and I'm going to grab this for everybody. So that I can give you this report. I want to give access to this report on Sam Radar that we did just the other day. The NAICS spending report for this year to date is coming right now, is going in the chat, but bam. And we'll have some additional information coming in the chat too. Zachary is busy doing other business things. So the reason why I'm doing this is I just put this in here, and here's what we got, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have year to date. 6 million contract executions and 90,000 and change, 90,008 opportunities posted on SAM.gov. So if you take a look on the right-hand side, you'll see some of those have no competition at all. And some of those have very little competition, which we call the short list. Right, Sally? We like being in the short list, do we not?
We love being on the short list. Love, love, love.
And so what we did is we built a system called samradar.com. Why did we do that? Because we want to pay attention to the 98% while everybody else is spinning their wheels on the 2% and go out and get that stuff. And that's the report that I just popped in there. I'm going to pop it in again for anybody that just popped in. That report is available to you. You can look at the whole thing. And the cool thing is you can look at by NAICS. So 98%. How can you possibly compete for what you never see? And I'll have a quick poll. And here's my poll. And I started doing this the other day. So first of all, what do you hear? The 2 polls, right? First things first. Are you new to federal contracting? Have you had federal contract as a subcontractor and want to win? Were you one of the 116,000 and change that won in fiscal year 2022? Or are you here just because some nut sent you an email? We already have one Weisenheimer. So there you go. So if you've ever been here before, great. If you've never been here before, you're in for a ride. We got a couple people that were actually winners and prime contractors then. And I'm going to keep this open for another 5, 4, quick, 3, 2, 1. Any last second ones? All right, that's it. So here we go. Rafa, new to federal contract. Most people are new to federal contracting. Fantastic. You couldn't be in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And 33% have never been here before. Love that. So now here's my next question, because I asked the question about the 98%. Did you know about the 98% not hitting SAM.gov? Did you know that you were missing some, but you just didn't know that it was 98%? Or don't you believe me at all? Do you not believe me? That's the question. So anybody not believe me? And you can be honest. I don't mind. I won't kick you off if you don't believe me. But I will say that that's where we are. And participation in this is very, very easy. You can do chats with us, and you can put questions, and you can raise your hand, and we'll unmutify you if you'd like to, and keep things in the. You can put things in the Q&A. Easier for us to find the Q&A, right, Rafa?
Yes, sir.
Yep, easier. So you're not going to believe this, Sally, but we're not associated with or affiliated with any or endorsed by any agency. That's the first thing. And participation doesn't guarantee an award. And if you're a Govy and you come here, that's fantastic. But in order for you to communicate, according to GSA, we have to tell you that this is not an endorsement or commitment to purchase from any vendor that is here, because now you have the ability to do it. So what we're going to do today, we're going to connect you with experts. We have a couple here. We have Sally, we have Dr. Rafa, we have Peter Timbus. Oftentimes we have even more than that. We probably have other experts that are logging in as we speak. But Greg is out and he's in France right now. So Greg Clark won't be here. So, but we will be connecting with experts. We'll highlight the sponsors and the partners because guess what? This is complicated and we can't do it alone, right, Rafa? That's why we're here.
Teamwork.
That's right, teamwork, and we will be talking about Sam Radar a little bit later. And I already asked the poll for why you're here today, so I'm not going to ask that one. So we're going to have this put into the chat. Zachary, you almost ready for those? All right, Zachary's not quite ready for those. We'll have those in the chat. We'll give the winnable opportunity matrix, capabilities, procurement readiness. I think yours is in there too, Rafa, now that I think about it. And
Yes,
a
sir.
90-second challenge that proves what the 98% is all about. All right, I want to see. All right. Yeah, just use last month. All right, so what's the one word? What else we got for the one word for describing the federal government? We have complicated, overdone, frustrating, bloated, challenging, terrifying. Any other ones that you got that you want to put in here for the one word for the federal government, for doing business with the federal government especially?
Slow,
Wonderful opportunity.
Wonderful opportunity. What do you got there, Rafa?
slow.
Slow. But I want it to be faster. I think that what I do is better than anybody else, and it should happen faster for me just because it's me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we
So
have for him behind
Yeah.
window number one, Sally?
Yep. Julie Thompson says eye crossing.
That's
That's
big news.
hyphenated one word. Love that. That's good. She's pushing the edge, Julie is. But that's all eye crossing. I like that. I've never heard that one before, Julie, got to tell you. Confusing, heard a lot about that. Boundless, David. Convoluted from Captain Charles.
Wow.
There we go. So there's a couple folks that have answered this. Best briefing ever from Billy Edwards. Your team will provide attendees a way forward to win a federal contract. Love that. We want ways forward. Stu says if the presenter presents a platform with proven results, for crying out loud, I do believe we have some proven results right here. And we will talk about that a little bit later. If you want to stick around for a demo, we will get that for you in just a few minutes. Just to reiterate, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Peter Timbus wasn't here yesterday. So here are the hot seat questions for everybody that's here. What do you do to reach buyers? What do you do to reach primes? And how do you make your pitch? And while you're thinking about your answers for that, I'm going to introduce everybody. I'm the CEO of ISI Federal. We do data, marketing, business development support in the federal space. That is our lane. I am going to be on GovBrief. In fact, talking about GovBrief, we do GovBrief for industry, like doing business with the VA that I'm doing on Thursday. And we also help people direct into the federal marketplace because we got a pretty enormous database, right, Rafa?
Absolutely, the best in the market.
The best in the market, he says. And so we use GovBrief to go out after that. We are talking about Sam Radar, and I've reduced this a little bit, but if you'd like to join me on Thursday to talk about doing business with the VA, lots and lots of money. Turns out, by the way, that only 1/3 of the dollars have been spent to date for the VA. How do you like that?
I like that.
So what does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? If you're not a service disabled or veteran-owned company, you need to be there too, because there's a lot of partnering that goes on, because that's one of the things that you'll learn. So the question I got for you is, hang on, I'm going to find my polls again. Who do you want to reach? Do you want to reach federal buyers? That means contracting officers and specialists, program managers and project managers, prime contract holders, so you can sub to them. And you can answer as many as you want, I think, on this one. And contract holders, so you can sell federal employees, maybe, because we might be able to help you with that. And small business specialists, we'll talk a little bit about that. And if you want to see if GovBrief can help, that's one of the things that we do, is we turn GovBrief and push it out to the govies, and we get hundreds and hundreds of program people that come in to hear about folks like you. And that's one of the only ways that I've found, other than being able to connect the dots and use the Kevin Bacon game, talking to buyers, some other people, using LinkedIn like Sally does. She's a marketing maven on LinkedIn. Talk a little bit about that in a few. But we have a doctor, the good doctor, Rafael Marrero in the house, who helps with work and marketing. Is that right, doctor?
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
We hope you look the part and look like you belong, because at the end of the day, you're new, you spell risk, right, to your prospective buyers. And we want to make sure that your capabilities shine and that you stand out from the rest, right? That's what our job is.
That's right. And if you're wondering if somebody says, hey, this is what my capabilities look like,
Yeah.
you probably don't belong, do you?
Yeah, if you get that look from a marketing person when you ask them for a capability statement, you're probably in the wrong place, right? Yeah.
And Mark, by the way, talking to marketing people about a capability statement is the wrong thing to do, because you want to talk about what the buyers will look for, right? Well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So the other thing you do is you have video capabilities and briefings and business capabilities, business cards, because guess what? That may be how they remember who you are. Imagine that.
That's right.
Right, Rafa?
That's right.
I mentioned, Greg is out of the country in France. So we're going to report from him next month. But if you need help with proposal writing, take a screenshot of this. If you need a GSA schedule, take a screenshot of this. If you have something else that you want to talk about for contracting vehicles, take a shot of this. Because what do I never do, Sally?
Never,
I never do paperwork.
paperwork.
I'm checking to see if Sally's paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
What time is it there,
they're
Sally?
Let's see, it's like
Time for a double
5:16. I got
espresso.
up at 4 a.m. So it's 5:16 here in Hawaii, Honolulu.
Yeah, she's in Hawaii. And just to honor Greg. There you go.
I like that.
So he is in France right now. And
Bruce
Sally
Willis.
White is in Hawaii, but obviously,
Wow.
Sally's more committed than Greg is for being here, because it's like, what time is it out there? It's like 8 o'clock out
It's
there. or
zero
something.
dark 30. It's actually 5:16, so it's not too
That's
bad.
right.
So
All
good
right,
to
so
hear.
we will, so there's a whole bunch of people. I asked a question this time, and I really appreciate you guys joining me back on this. Who you want to reach, and do you want to see if GovBrief can help? And I have always, let me see what happens here today and we can talk, right? So first things first, that's how we start to build relationships, right? We start to say, hey, do you even know anything about what we're trying to accomplish, right? So that's why we have folks here today. And I love the fact that you're honest in that. I don't see Julie Branson here either. Did I miss her? Is Julie
No,
here?
she made the comment. Remember her comment she made a nice comment. It was
I don't remember. But if you need speech writing or PR support and stuff like that, take a screenshot of that. And then we also have this. Now, this is the only person that's advanced enough to have a QR code. And that would be the one and only Peter Timbus, who helps with federal contract funding. And it's different than a bank, because banks look at federal contractors, especially if it's a large contract, their heads might explode, right, Peter?
Absolutely. We're celebrating our 32nd year as a trusted financial source. And what makes us different is we're going to lend to your opportunity rather than your financial statements. So it's
And
a big
that's
difference.
important.
But it's a very, very lucky day. Yesterday, the SBA put out a statement. This is May 8th. The SBA seeks to grow shrinking pool of small businesses getting federal government contracts. And they go on to say agencies are seeing a significant drop in the number of small businesses that receive federal government contracts, and even sharper decline in the number of small businesses that are now new or recent entrants to the federal government marketplace. So it's a lucky day for the 51 participants here, because if you use this platform to get into the federal government or even increase your federal government, you're going to be very, very successful. And you've got to be proactive. You've got to get on SAM.radar and then use my funding to grow your business.
There you go.
It's a
Look at Peter
platform-
weaving all the stuff in today.
Yep.
Peter weaving everything in.
Yep.
It's almost like you planned that out.
Almost.
I love
Well, it was a perfect statement from the SBA. Now the SBA issued that statement yesterday. The SBA is going to be proactive, and they're having agencies be proactive in giving contracts to small businesses. So it
And they're not
ties it
gonna-
all together.
So this is great, because we're going to be talking about how do you get to the buyer? How do you get to the prime? Because some of that's going to be direct, some of that's going to be sub to prime, right? That's the other problem they got. Love it. So we also have, you're gonna love this one, Rafa. Take a look at this. Irene is not here with us today. Anybody want to guess as to why Irene is not here?
She's getting married.
She's getting married.
Oh,
Wow.
congratulations.
That's wonderful.
You didn't even see the fact that she's wearing a wedding dress there, Rafa?
The designing clothes. is
That's
one of the
funny.
many
Wait, I gotta take a
superpowers, right?
You gotta take a screenshot of
I
that.
gotta take a
But-
screenshot of that.
So
That's a screenshot.
if you're wondering, if you need a socioeconomic, this is a former Govey, by the way, so she's
Yeah.
absolutely gonna be irate about what I just did to her. But if you need help with your socioeconomic certs, this is who you want to talk to for helping with 8A and small business, all the type of certifications that you need, document preparation. Take that screenshot. Make sure you send it to her and say,
I'm gonna
"Dave,"
send it to her. She just sent me a video
there you go.
going
Dave
off her
did-
new
you're not-
digs.
You're not gonna believe what Dave did to your picture.
Yeah.
Today also, Brian's not going to be with us, but Brian is also a former federal contracting officer, many years with CMS. A lot of deep knowledge about FAR, the FAR crash, does FAR crash courses and all that stuff. He is a wealth of knowledge. Love to have him on his team. So now that we got everybody kind of, if you wanted to reach out to those folks. So the hot seat question number one
All right.
is, I'm going to launch this for everybody too, right? And that is, what do you do to reach buyers? Maybe you can't reach them because you don't know who they are. You meet with the Oz the Boos and they tell you who they are. You attend industry days, you look at forecasts, you watch for opportunities on sam.gov, or I don't need to reach buyers. They don't understand what I do. So that's kind of a little bit of a weaving angle into this. So Rafa, let's talk about reaching buyers and what do you do to reach buyers? Because what do you need first?
Well, first and foremost, you need a very, very strong capability statement and a strong profile on sam.gov, right? And your DSBS profile.
Yep.
I can't stress this enough. Many folks just think that you have to register on SAM and just kind of just be approved, so to speak, be on the pre-qualified list. That's not the way it works.
Hey,
you know?
Rafa,
Yeah.
I actually talked to somebody yesterday and they said, we don't need anything. We're registered on sam.gov. They're going to call us.
Well, what do we have for them, Dave? Behind window number one.
Behind door number one is never,
Big knives.
Right.
never calling you.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. You're a potential provider on an approved vendor list, right? From there, you have to make sure that you get down to like the best, top 5 or become one of their favorite or preferred vendor status, right? So in order to get there, you need to develop a relationship, and the way to get that is to start by letting people know what you do accurately, not embellishing. So you need strong, your kung fu has to be strong. You need a strong capability statement, right? Not to exceed 2 sheets, 1 page, 2 sides, 8.5 by 11 letter size. You need a good, strong capabilities briefing for the moment you get that interview, right? Because your capability statement is like your corporate resume. You're going to get the interview. And then next, you have the interview. You get a corporate interview with the head honchos, right? With the people who make the decisions or who are the end users or who are the technical evaluators. You need to convince them in a very compelling way that you are the right party for this to close them on the next step. You're also going to need videos to stand out, because contracting officers get thousands of pieces of paper every day and emails, right? So you need to stand out and differentiate, or just die in the vine. Also, your website must have certain requirements, right? In terms of essential elements of information. We can help you how to communicate that value, and your business cards. You're no longer just a private sector contractor. You're now a public sector contractor, and your business cards are like mini capability statements, right? It's a technical sales brochure. It needs to look the part. It needs to have the essential elements of information, your primary NAICS codes, your UEI, your CAGE code. And if you've got a socioeconomic certification, you need to have it on there, because that's what's going to close them on the next steps.
And couldn't agree more with that. What do you think, Sally, from your perspective? I know you do a lot of work on LinkedIn and things like that. So part of it is, hey, being ready, obviously is part of it. How do you go about, what do you do to even find a buyer? How do you do it?
Absolutely. So as Raphael mentioned, after you have your branding, your CAPE statement, and a really great website, it's really important to find people. You need to find people who are buying your services and products, those things that make you the part of your superpower, right? Is the things that you do. So you need to find those people through market research. And so if you're not using SamRadar, if you're not connected to SamRadar, get on, because that's going to tell you exactly who you need to look for, who's buying, who's influencing. And then you can use LinkedIn or other social platforms. LinkedIn is the best. It's free. It's easy to connect with those individuals, those executives, those individuals on LinkedIn who can influence or support you. Another way to do it is through conferences, which we'll talk about in a bit. But there's a real nice sequence that you can see here. Get yourself branded, figure out your buyer personas, make sure you're out there, make sure you're connecting with LinkedIn and other ways. But you can't connect unless you know who to connect to. And I know Dave's going to talk about that as well.
We're absolutely going to talk about
David,
that.
David,
ahead,
could I
go
add
ahead, Peter.
one thing to what the doctor said is that I was at the 8A conference several months ago, and I was our booth was right next to the Air Force contracting office. I think they were out of Columbus, and they had a big group of people around, and they were talking to these people, and they were saying to these people, you got to be proactive, and you got to reach out to us and tell us your story. And if we like your story well enough, we can turn around and sole source that contract to you. So you've got to be proactive in this business.
I couldn't agree more with that, because what is proactive versus reactive? So let's think about it this way. What do you think is proactive, Peter? What would you do?
Well, as Sally was saying, you've got to use all streams to fill the pond, but the biggest one is you got to get a market intel, and you've got to be able to identify that 98% of contract opportunities that only show up on SAM.radar. So you got to be proactive there. You've got to reach out and attend some of these conferences and meet government officials. You cannot sit on your hands. I've been doing this business 32 years. Whether I make a presentation on financing or this presentation, a lot of people will sit back and they just wait for business to come to them. I'm speaking of the 52 participants today. Be proactive. Go after the business. Just don't get off this webinar and then say, oh, that was nice, and then go on and doing the next thing. You really got to plan this out and really go after it.
I love that. So I couldn't agree more. Absolutely great advice for every aspect of it. Very difficult to find the who, right? So there's 77,000 active buyers. For those of you who are new to this research, in fact, I'm going to ask this question. One of the things that people say, well, you got to do your research, right? You got to be researching and everything else. I got to ask you, do you get paid for researching buyers? No, I get paid when I freaking sell something, or yes, I'm a data nerd and I actually make a living at researching buyers. Now, if everybody doesn't pick that top one, then guess what? So the reason why I'm asking this question is because there's the research tool this is actually part of the process that we do in helping you identify your market, because guess what? The govies don't necessarily think like we do on the outside. Can I get an amen on that from everybody? Because guess what? We operate like we run companies, right?
Mhm.
You want to see how they're doing it? They have NAICS codes. You mentioned that, Rafa, as part of your
That's right.
your capabilities, and your registration with SAM.gov has a primary NAICS code. And then you also have PSCs. They don't have anything to do with the NAICS codes necessarily, right? And we actually have a couple people that make a living with research. You're going to love us even more, because we are absolutely wired this way. So, so this is how we go about it. So first things first, as we're looking at this, I want to talk about the stakeholders, because there's multiple decision makers in that are required for every single requirement and every single contract that gets awarded. So for those of you that are new, who think you just walk in and say, I'm really good at this, hey, one call close, right, Rafa? That's how it works every time. One call.
Oh,
close.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it works. All right. So there you have multiple folks that are involved, and every one of these people have different roles in the decision-making process. So
Mhm.
as a result, and Sally kind of mentioned this too, and looking in LinkedIn, sometimes you start up here to kind of get filtered down and funneled down, selling to the top, right, Sally? That's a
Absolutely,
process.
Absolutely. And just to pull the thread on what you said about being proactive, it's a lot easier if you're already connected with some of the senior level executives when you do connect with the contracting officers, so it doesn't appear you're going over their head. So it's a real in parallel strategy that you want to come up with. Sam Radar to find out who's going to buy, who's going to influence, LinkedIn to find out who the executives are, and other ways. So you want to do it really strategically and methodically.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So when you think about the structure of the government, you have the political appointees up here. They change out as the administrators come in, and then they come up with new initiatives and they say, I don't like that guy because he did this, so we're doing this. And then the next one comes in, I don't like that guy. Next thing you know, we have what we got. But one thing that is for sure, they keep spending more money, right? We know this is a fact. So then we have the SESs, and those are your senior level bureaucrats. And they're the ones that have been around for a long time. Brian Hebel was one of those senior level on the procurement side, right? And then you have the division, the wall between the two, because guess what? The program people don't have authority to buy from you. They use what you do. They may hire you. They may use your services. They may buy your products. They may use your product, but they can't fork over the money. Why? Because it's illegal for them to do it. They have to give it to procurement. So the one side cares about getting the job done. They're the ones that care about your ISO and your professional certifications, the things that say, hey, I'm really good at getting stuff done.
Mhm.
And on the other side of the house, we have getting the contract done.
Mhm.
Now, getting the contract done, they don't care how good of an IT company you are and all the bits and bytes and the programming and all the Wizmo stuff that you can create. They only care about your contract vehicle, your socioeconomic search, to your point, Peter, for being able to say, hey, SBA is saying we need to do this. We need to hire more small businesses, including the socioeconomic categories, I'm certain, right, Peter?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You were mentioning you were at the 8A conference. These are the people that care about you being an 8A. The program people don't care about you being an 8A. They don't care about the contracting mechanism at all. They just want to get the job done. And here's the challenge. The need comes from the program side, throws it over the fence to somebody who has no clue as to what you do or what makes you good at what you do. And then they formulate that into a document and some sort of an engagement.
Mhm.
When we look at the winnable opportunity matrix that we provided for you, this is the project manager. That's the PM or program manager, throws it over the fence to the contracting officer. From that is how an opportunity is awarded, and the award then goes to a prime, who is either you or one of your competitors. Everybody tracking with that? So this
Yes.
result awards to a prime. So what we're going to be talking about, it goes to a prime, and we're going to be talking about a SAM rate. Let's talk about a prime. I'm going to show you something real quick. This says place for me to be able to say, hey, you're supposed to place a SAM radar image of what it looks like to be a prime. So I'm going to pop this in here real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like to be a SAM radar prime. So here we have a prime. And I'm going to make a notation of this in SAM Radar. Don't stress about this is the first time you've seen it. Just know that 72,000 and change got awarded when? Yesterday to HCI Management Services Company. Number of offers received doesn't say, which means Peter Allen has a great relationship with HCI Management Services Company. And here is your prime. And it's not hitting SAM.gov. This is one of the ones that never hit SAM.gov. So what we're doing,
Excuse me,
all I
someone's
wanted you to
asking
pay
blow up the
attention to,
chart.
what's that?
Someone's asking to blow up the chart a little bit, not blow up the chart, but expand it. If you can make.
Can
it a
I
little bit
expand
bigger.
that? Oh, hang on a
Yeah.
second. Let me
Yeah,
see if
a
I
little
make
bit
it bigger.
And
Make it bigger is
also,
what you're saying.
Miss Suzanne, you can also change your view so you can see the whole chart.
All right, here we go.
There
Let
we
me
go.
scroll down.
Yep.
This is the prime.
Thanks, Suzanne.
As you can see, we have the UEI, we have their cage code, we have the ability to track this prime, because we may want to know. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but just know that today it hit my radar that yesterday there was a contract that was awarded to somebody that I compete against. That is the essence of what we're trying to accomplish here, which is different than any other process that's out there. All right, so we know we have buyers. We also have a buyer there that has a relationship with the prime, right? Talked about the buyers. Now we want to talk about the primes. So let me ask you this. How do you go about reaching primes? Are you attending the industry days? We talked about that. I want you to talk about that in a minute, Sally. Signing up in their databases. And do you ever get a call from the databases? That's a question for me. Do you get referrals from your OSDBU or your Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, your small business liaisons out there? Do you get referrals from buyers to primes? Supermove. You watch awards on FPDS. That would be a researcher that just picked that one. I don't know which primes are in my space. Most people don't know this. And you're like everybody else. Guess what? We're all in this together. We're trying to figure out who's playing in our space. And guess what? If we really want to know about primes, and I'll take the first lead on this one. What I love about tracking primes better than anything else and understanding primes is if we're paying attention to the prime and we see these awards that are happening, never showing up on SAM.gov, that means if we can get to that buyer who's buying from the prime, we can either get a referral from the buyer to the prime, because guess what? You already lost. It was awarded yesterday. I can't win that one. It was awarded yesterday, but I could be doing the sub work on that, right? We had a bunch of folks that, hey, I don't mind doing sub work to the prime. Sometimes you're going to be sub work to the prime. Sometimes you're going to be punching the prime in the mouth and stealing their business. Sometimes you're working together. It's a crazy type of environment. But that's why we do what we do here, because we want to know who the primes are. And if we go back to this particular one, here's another one. That's another one for HCI management. And from Peter Allen. There was one today and there was one the other day. So again, here we have the opportunity, right, to be able to find things, because if it's searching in our NAICS code, so 541-611, that's a pretty common code, right? That's your management code. Training often falls into that. We notice, again, I had this already pulled up before on one from last week and another one for the same company. Never going to hit SAM.gov because the relationship is already in place. And
There's a
that's
phone
what we
number.
want to do.
Like
What's
I'm
that?
seeing a phone number. There's a phone number.
Yeah, look at that. There's a phone number.
And there's very rarely phone numbers on LinkedIn, just to be fair. We'll talk about LinkedIn, but this is a really important slide. Peter Allen, you know what Peter bought. You know he's a buyer. You know he's with the State Department, and you have a phone number and an email address right there.
Oh, and the cool thing is, if you hit this contact buyer button, it just says, hey, I want to chat with you about this.
Yep.
And you don't have to be complex. And and as much as I love Dr. Rafael Marrero, my first conversation is, hey, I'd like to chat with you about this award to HCI. I don't even tell them the capabilities yet. I haven't earned the right to give them the capabilities yet.
Right.
Right. It's like going on a date, like you said yesterday. It's like going on a date and asking someone for a prenup, before you've even ordered your salad.
Yeah, you go up. That's right. Here's that. Just let's try this this time. Can you imagine walking up to the hottest whatever, male, female, we don't judge here.
Very brilliant,
Walking up.
attractive person. Yep.
Whatever person you're at the bar and you're walking up and you say, guess what? Hey, can we review? I want to review the prenup with you before I talk with you. I love that.
We're pretty sure Irene didn't do that, right?
That's right. That's
Well, she
fact.
probably background checked them.
No kidding. Absolutely.
There you go. So to your point, we want to be in the position. We just saw this. We just saw this at HEI. They're in the no competition zone. They're the only ones that even know about that. And that's where we want to live, right? So as we're working through this process, so Sally, I love your play, especially when you're reaching out to a buyer. You have a really good strategy for when you're reaching out to a buyer and just, you know, if they help you, what do you ask them to do?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm really grateful that they're willing to talk with me because they're so busy and they have a lot going on. And depending on what I know, which I know from Sam Radar, I get my Sam Radar notifications each day in my email, and I do some checking on LinkedIn and some research. So when I do call them and they're helpful, I say, you know, that was so helpful to me. What I'd like to do is thank you. And if possible, I'd like to thank your manager, your boss. And they're like,
Ooh.
really? I say, yes. And so they'll either give me their phone number, which is great, or sometimes they'll give me their email, sometimes both. Obviously, if it's Delta Airlines, they'll say, you have a survey coming in, but none of these folks have surveys, believe me. And so they typically give me their manager's name, phone number, or they transfer me to them. So I'll say, could you transfer me to your manager? You know, Carol, I want to compliment you. And so they'll say, okay, my manager's Dave. And so they transfer me. I said, hi, Dave. And Dave's freaked out. He's like, oh my gosh, what did Carol do, right? And so I said, Dave, I just want to compliment Carol. She's a fine representation of DOD in your group or the Department of Human Services. She was very helpful to me, and I just want to say thank you. And they're so grateful. They're like, really? And they say, is there anything else I can do? And sometimes they'll help you further, and then you can ask for their manager. But it does several things, right? One, you're thanking someone for taking time to do that, and people like to appreciate that. Two, you're getting the name of their manager. And three, you're getting a contact so that you can put that in your buying framework, or part of your strategy, your buying strategy, your connecting strategy. So you're developing a map, a relationship map.
And it's so brilliant what you do with that, because once you have it, can you imagine what you're doing for that person? How many times does somebody call somebody's boss and tell them they did a great job versus how many times it's going, this sucker can't do anything right?
Yeah.
But you're absolutely breaking from the norm. And if there's anything that we hear, look the part, look like you belong, separate yourself with a great capability statement, look the part. Secondary, when you're acting the part, act the part, separate yourself from the rest of everybody else. Don't look and smell like everybody else, because if you do, then you're not differentiating yourself. What Sally just gave was super. That's a wisdom bomb right there, Sally. Thank you very much, because that is exactly what we got. And Suzanne, and a couple asked, some people asked some questions. Julie, you had, I'm going to unmute. I'm asking you to unmute. Julie, you there?
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for this presentation. It's very, very helpful. My question was about the chart with the buyers and the green and the red. The little part on the bottom right talked about
This one here?
this one. It was bigger. It was showing the process of who we go through.
Yes,
Your
that is
opportunity
actually one of the
chart, right?
handouts.
Okay, which one is it?
It's the winnable opportunity matrix. It's a PDF that you can just grab.
That I've got it. Thank
Yep.
you.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Chart.
That was the easiest question I've had all day. All right, Suzanne, let me get to Suzanne Stanley. Hang on one second, Suzanne Stanley. I want to make sure you can talk if you can. If you have the ability to talk, I just want to make, you there, Suzanne?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, and is it really Suzanne's?
It is Suzanne and it's Stant Lee.
Stanley. So but it's not an S on the end of Suzanne, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
Multiple Suzannes.
It's Suzanne's. It's like, you could have a multiple personality. You don't have to disclose everything here. I'm just
Yep.
kidding.
Thank you.
So yeah, go ahead. So what's your question?
So I'm glad you have this particular chart up because it's actually two parts. When we do our research, are we going to be able to drill down and come up with this particular type of information, or is this information that you extrapolated and put into this chart?
So
Yeah.
So the answer is no. I mean, we do that with our intelligence. If you need the intelligence all the way down to the root level, we can do that. But the way that we summarize all the data so that we can say, hey, at the end of it, we can spend a whole lot of time in analysis by paralysis, right? Where we're just diving down until we get to something, it doesn't make any sense. What we said is, hey, let the system do the research and tell you what to do, and then train the system to do it better. Because you can't handle 20,000 contracts and looking at 20,000 contracts a day, right? You just can't.
Right.
Even within your NAICS code, you can't. But what this does, if you go into this report that I handed out, and I'm gonna pop it in here again, and you can have, just take some time and do a review with us. We do reviews at 10 and 2, and you can also book a time with a federal advisor to talk about what specifically is happening in your market. That report breaks down by NAICS code and by PSC, and the combination of NAICS code and PSC and UEI, huge benefit for just looking at this. It'll tell you how many contracts are happening. It doesn't tell you on the competitive scale though. Well, if you're talking about this 1 to 5, it doesn't tell you that. But just know that across the board, these are the numbers. This is what's going to be populating. So it doesn't, to me, it's like, okay, well, maybe the last one, there's 50 people that responded, but usually not. Usually it's 1 or none. But I can show you a couple more. Does that make sense?
I know it should. I'm still struggling with it, but I'll just.
So what are
try
you
to absorb
struggling
it a
with? Because I
little
want to
bit.
make sure we hit it. I'm also going to go back out to this, because this tells us the story, right? This one, here's another award, right? This is for GDIT. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, make sure you can see this, because this is what's important. The number of offers received. Do you see that? Right here?
Yes, I do.
See,
One.
this is why this is hitting, because this is $4 million, right? 4 million. And Colin is awarding that to GDIT without a competitive landscape. Now, how are they doing it? It's actually happening. Looks like it's a new definitive contract. So it's actually a contract for the review of grant applications that only had 1 offer received. How can that possibly be?
Wow.
Right? So when that starts to hit your headspace, what are you thinking now, Suzanne?
I'm thinking I could have gone after this because this is really right in my wheelhouse.
And it would be great to know about that, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So now the process here is very simple. You hit this button and you say, hey, I want to chat with you about the award you made to GDIT on 5/4. And that's all we want to do. It's to start. Get the dialogue. How was that done? What was your preferred mechanism? What's your vehicle that you use? And was it mandatory to buy it from GDIT? And then what do you think I should do? So you have a whole bunch of plays that you have right this second, because you can, Colin, here's the massive play. First of all, you're not going to win this 4 million, right? It's already awarded.
Right.
But what you can do is say, hey, Colin, who are you working with GDIT? I know I can play a part, and you know for a fact GDIT has a small business plan that they have to meet to make that contract, right? And now you get a referral from Colin to GDIT.
The other thing that
Can I
Sarah
ask-
said about,
Yep.
oh, go ahead, sorry, Suzanne, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can I just ask one question about that? So when GDIT submitted its proposal, it was not required to include at that time the name of the small businesses that they were going to subcontract a portion of this contract to?
Not necessarily.
They're
Okay.
required to have a small business subcontracting plan, but those can and will change because sometimes the subcontractors that are on the team or their existing teammates cannot meet the specifications and/or the scope change. If there's scope creep on the project as well, they'll need additional resources. So this goes back to the question of when should you be marketing? And the answer is always, right?
Got it.
Knocking on those doors, right?
Thank you.
Love it. All right. So did I
The
ask
other
the
thing I
question?
was gonna just add that it tells me, I mean, as a small business, if I look at General Dynamics Information Technology, say they're a $3 billion business. and they continue to win these particular deals, then I know that I either need to connect with them, but even more important than connecting with them is to call Colin, because if Colin says, I want you to call this particular individual with General Dynamics, then when I reach out to General Dynamics on LinkedIn, etc., I can say, speaking with Colin Alian, and he suggested I contact you based on our capabilities and what we provide. We could be additive, especially since they're looking at this particular thing in cybersecurity, and that's what we do best. So if you
And-
have your, go ahead.
No, to build on that, think about what Sally just said.
Mhm.
Now, Colin, the one thing that we don't know is who in GD is just as big as the government, right, Suzanne?
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So we have a problem because even if we see them, we know somebody, what are the chances that we know the right person for this
Right.
contract? But Colin certainly knows the PM,
Got it.
right? So
Yeah.
the money move here is, and it's a low risk ask of Colin to say, hey, can you, who is it that's doing who's the PM on this at GD IT?
Mhm.
And then you can ask that question. And the interesting thing about the PM, right? Let's say Rafa's the PM on this inside that. And Colin says, talk to Rafa. Rafa has no idea what your relationship is with Colin.
Right.
Rafa has no idea. And it's too much of a risk to ask Colin what the relationship is with you. That's risky.
Mhm.
You guys could have been, in grade school together, but really all it was is Sam Radar told you to talk to him.
Right.
Right? So you're playing a really cool move there. So I got a question, and then we'll hot seat question. This goes along with it. Do you get paid for research in Prime or no? I get paid when I freaking sell something. I'm telling you, if there's anything that I've learned about this, and Suzanne, you can throw in on this, do you get paid when you do the research or do you pay when you sell something?
So
You get paid to do the research?
you're paying yourself for the benefit that you can accrue from doing it.
But that's a time suck. Wouldn't you
That-
agree?
Yeah, that's correct.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you prefer, because if you're doing it for yourself, you're not getting paid, but do you prefer to get paid more than $22 an hour?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. In that case, the second that you sign up for Sam Radar, you're already saving money because it's
Okay.
already going to combine that stuff and say, this is what you want to pay attention to. You don't have to
Okay.
dig. Sam Radar gives you the ability to dig as much as you want. I'm saying, don't do it. Don't get sucked down into, oh, I want to find out this, that, and the other. No, just freaking reach out to the buyer. If you reach out to the buyer can connect you and boom, you're done. Your research already gave you the outcome that you want.
Sure, quick
Ah.
story. It's a quick story. So on Sam
Great.
Radar, I learned that GDIT is, who they are. I look and see they're they're $34 billion company in annual revenue. So then I happened to be going to a conference. I went to Navy Gold Coast last year and then the virtual the year before. So last year I noticed there are all these primes for GDIT, Northrop
Mhm.
Grumman, and all the primes that Dave's talking about. And they were in a matchmaking session and they were sitting there like starving with no water. And I mean, it was crazy. And so what I did this year is I called the person in charge and I said, I would love to volunteer. She said, what would you like to do? I said, I want to be your, prime Sherpa. I want to make sure they have what they need. So anyway, so I'm going to Navy Gold Coast. They're paying my tuition. It's in July in San Diego. And I'm going to be the prime whisperer, making sure they have snacks and water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what Dave's talking about, this whole sequence. And I know you're seeing this now. I wouldn't have known it without the research, right? With Sam Radar. I did some research and found out who the primes are. I looked, and you can see on the conferences who's sponsoring the conference. So if someone's sponsoring the conference is a platinum, gold, as ISI and Sam Radar was recently, I might add, at the conference in DC. If you see those individuals, they're primes because they're basically paying for the conference. You can go up to them, you can say, thank you so much for sponsoring that breakfast. And you can build the relationships with them. You can go to the booth, but it all starts with knowing who they are.
Couldn't agree more. All right. So hot seat question number 3, and then we'll get at it because I think that there's a lot of folks are going to be interested in this one. And that is, hey, How do you do it? How do you engage? So you may be asking your question, what in the world is GovBrief? So here's what we do. We're reaching out to govies. So we need to reach program managers. That's one way we do it, like GovBrief. That's you're pushing your information out there. You host briefings, webinars, meetings, you're driving people out there. Do you have a professional capability statement? Do you have a professional presentation deck? That sounds like Rafa to me. Do you have a representative that's polished that can deliver the message? That creates another problem because some folks, really good engineers, not the best salespeople, right? And then leverage your contract wins with past performance. You can't leverage your past performance if you don't have any past performance in the government, but you can get in touch with people and say, I've done this with Disney. I've done this with ABC company. This is our best practice that we've done. A lot of people have never done a briefing. You don't even know that you can do that. We market that out to hundreds of thousands of potential people that are responsible in your space. And we drive hundreds of people to a briefing where they say, hey, these guys are subject matter experts. Imagine that. So we can talk about that. So if you were interested in that, the last briefing we can do is 8/17. Why is that, Rafa? Why do we stop in the middle of August? Why don't we just run all the way up to September 30th?
Because we can't. Think about it.
They're
It's
not
already,
going to,
there's already a commitment.
they're not even going to show up.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about how you engage. You wind up helping people tremendously, by the way. I throw all that stuff over the fence to you because, first of all, I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
And you're really good at capability statements. And what are, give us like a couple of nuggets for people for capabilities so that they know that they have the right kind of stuff on there.
Sure. So first things first, you should never, ever have a capability statement longer than 2 sheets, 1 sheet, 2 pages. Try to have the 6 essential elements of information. There's actually a pretty good piece I wrote on capability statements. It's on LinkedIn. You should look me up and connect with me on LinkedIn and take a read. Take a look at the 6 essential elements of information, the 6 C's that should be present in your capabilities. Now, what are they? Number 1, you've got to have all your company contact information, right? You would be amazed at how many people, Dave, just don't have a telephone number or an email address.
Unbelievable.
They're still using their college bachelor email, like, hot stuff 69 or whatever.
Oh,
Can't have that. No,
Oh.
seriously.
HR.
No, seriously. Or, Papi Rico 123 at, Gmail. You have that stuff. So you need a professional email address. You also need your codes, right? What are your codes? What are your primary NAICS codes, right? So NAICS codes, PSC codes, and you also need your CAGE code, your UEI code, and all codes that define what you are, who you are, what you offer, right? Your core competencies, what are they, right? Do not embellish. Stick to what you know best, right? You lay these out. Do you have any contracts the government can use, right?
Oh, big time.
Are there any vehicles, procurement vehicles, any GSA contracts or procurement vehicles, any BPAs that they can use to write up this ticket, right? To help to get you involved if they really like you.
So let me real quick. So what I'm hearing is in order to be effective with a capability statement, you want to have both sides. You want to say, hey, this is what I'm really good at with your bullet points. You don't want to write big narratives, right?
Nope.
And you have your overview of, how you got started and things like that. And then you have all your codes. And this doesn't look like a really traditional marketing message that looks like a slick or something like that. This is something different. And I highly encourage them to reach out to you for that.
Yep.
Just to check. How much do you charge? Just talk to somebody, Rafa.
The initial consult is completely free.
Free, my favorite 4-letter word.
Free and
Yeah,
then
just-
no obligation either. So worst case scenario, you've gotten great advice. You know exactly where you stand, some of the corrective actions that need to be made on maybe you don't have a capability statement. Maybe what you have is a corporate brochure and you need a capability statement, or maybe the capability statement that you have is too extensive. And that's another big problem. So Never should it be more than 1 megabyte in file size, Dave. And always, always, always reference your past performance, right? Show them what you've done that makes sense to them and why they should bring you into the fold.
Oh, that's what it's about. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what Ralph said? What makes sense to them?
Yes.
And if you're new to this world, trust me, it ain't gonna make sense to you. Because when I got into this world, I was like, get out of here. This doesn't make any freaking sense.
Yeah.
And now that you see how the cool thing about this world is you can see what success looks like, and you can look at the competitive landscape and you can take the wheels right off of their car. Because they'll, hey, there's their capability statement. You can help, Rafa can help you get a better capability statement for that.
You can.
So, and
No,
then,
just a shout out to Rafa. In addition to the capability statement, he really helps us create our elevator pitch, and that's really important. And if in the chat you want to put your elevator pitch, just really short, you can see how crisp you are. And that's really important because when you walk up to that, Secretary of the Navy or the person that you need to connect with at a conference, or you're on LinkedIn, or you're speaking with them on the phone, you need to be able to articulate your superpower, your products and services in a really succinct pitch. And the background work you do with Rafa in the branding, understanding what you do, what your capability statement, that'll help you succinctly describe what you do, what we do.
could not agree more. All right, so the next question I got is, do you want a piece of the 98% that isn't hitting sam.gov? And everybody better be clicking yes on this one, because you know that you do. If you're not, and you know that you're going to need, you're going to need help to find it. And that's why we're here. That's why we did what we did. So listen, here's what's happening right now. It's Q3. Not as only Q3, you got a month and a half pretty much, right? Before we hit Q4, you think that that's far in advance. Your competitors have been planning and working since October for this fiscal year, maybe before that, to be able to prep and build and create additional opportunities. When you do the winnable opportunity matrix, it says, do you know 60 days or ahead of time? That's when you know you're in the green. If you have your fingerprints on top of that, because guess what? If your fingerprints aren't it, your competitors are. So here's what we want to do. We want to make sure you know about the expectations. Really important, especially people that are new. Manage your expectations. This place does not work like the commercial market ever.
Nope.
Unless there's like something burning, all of a sudden you can get lucky. But I'm telling you, most of the time it takes time. You need to look and act like you belong. Rafa can help you with that. Sally can help you with that. We can help you with that. Proactive. This was Peter's big word earlier. Get proactive. And move that car. Get moving. You can't steer a parked car and nobody's going to come pick you up an Uber. Nobody's Ubering you.
Nope.
And then go ahead.
As they're using SAM.Dot radar to mine opportunities and they find sweet spots, do not shy away from sweet spots that you think are beyond your financial capability, because we will be there and issue a free letter of financial support in the bidding process. There are so many companies that we do business with that say, I wish I'd known about you years ago because I shied away from bigger opportunities. As you use SAM.Dot radar, go after all opportunities, regardless of size, in your sweet spot, because we will be there to help you.
And that's what you do. And it doesn't happen right away, does it, Peter?
No, it takes a while.
It takes a while. So real quick, I want to make sure we get you guys out of here. We're running a little bit over. We really appreciate it. I love the fact that people are digging it. I will say that coming up, doing business with the VA, I have on Thursday. Even if you're not a veteran-owned business, if you are a veteran-owned business, you definitely want to be there. If you're not, you may want to be there if you want to do business with the VA, because you have to have a teaming partner that's veteran-owned. And I'll explain why that is at the briefing. So there you go. So that's what's coming up, but we have a whole lot of things that come up on GovBrief. We use GovBrief to help you as industry. We also use GovBrief and tie them back to there. If we have any questions, let's get to those and we'll make sure we stick around for a couple minutes. And then I want to ask if you need any additional help. What's going on with this? It won't let me launch this. I can't figure it out. Let's see. Well, if you need additional help, let us know. Because the poll will not work. If you want to stick around, I don't understand it. If you want to stick around, I'm going to hand this off to somebody else on my team and they'll show you what Sam Radar looks like, because I have got to go to a strategy session with one of my clients who does roofing contracting down
Wow.
in DC. So
And
and
did you have to
Helene would
leave?
like to attend the conference on Thursday, no problem. Helene, we'll even get you a discount code, Helene, because Helene is a Sam Radar user and she's
Yes.
also comes to Monday roundtables all the time. And she's awesome. So Helene, make sure you talk with Zachary. Zachary will help get you a discount code for that, since you're a Sam Radar user and you're one of my favorite Sam Radar users, by the way. And everybody else can be one of my favorites too, but you got to sign up to be one. So there you go. So we'll see you next month. The next one is May 11th. If you need anything from anybody here, put your stuff into the chat. It gets cycled to everybody else. And if you answer the poll that you want some information, you'll probably get it from Rafa and Sally and Peter. Specifically, Peter, I had one there for you that was supposed to be. Is there still a poll running? Maybe?
I don't think so. And Dave, do you have to shut this meeting down? Do you need this Zoom? Because we could stay on for a minute.
No, we're going to stay on for a minute and we can,
Okay.
because I'm going to hand this off.
Okay.
Zachary, you up for taking this over?
Absolutely.
All right,
Cool.
Zachary's here. He's going to take over. I'm going to promotify. I'm making all kind of good words up.
Promotify.
I'm promotifying Zachary. So he's now the
See if I can
man in
Pop in
charge.
here. A little bit less formal than these other fancy pantses over here.
Fancy pantses.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Welcome
Thanks,
back. Thanks
Dave.
for everybody.
Mahalo.
Sally,
Mahalo,
great
Dave.
stuff. Aloha to you. Rafa, you're the bomb diggity. The crazy Cubano, as I would say.
Oh my gosh.
And Sally's always like, God bless me. Don't contact HR on her.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right. You ready, Zachary?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, rock and roll. See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Welcome to the after party over here. So let's go ahead. I think it would be great to kind of go over some of the spending report that Dave went into a little bit. Unless somebody else has any questions, anything else that anybody else wants to dive into real quick? Otherwise, we'll jump right into it. All right, sounds great. Let's go ahead and jump in. If anybody wants to throw something out in the chat, feel free. If anybody wants to raise their hand, we can throw somebody off mute. But I'll go ahead and share my screen out. This is really, really cool information here. So if you go to samradar.com and then you pop into resources, this is a free report you can download. Go to resources and then pop into May 2023 NAICS spending report. And so then this will pull this right up here and you can download this report. And this is really, really cool stuff here. So if we open this up, we can see this here. And so this is the one that's opening. I'll open a new one. But basically what it's first going to show up with is it's going to show you this summary sheet right here that we looked at a little bit here. And I see some stuff popping in here in the Q&A as well. But let me see here. Okay, so we can see this information right here. And then you can see the vast majority of this is green. And again, what green means that the vast majority of contracts and dollars have few offers received. We've been over a lot of this, so I'm going to skip over this. But let's take a look in different people's NAICS codes. Does anybody have a NAICS code that's their primary NAICS code they want to throw out and take a look at and see where the spending is? And we can dig into this a little bit further.
This is a great opportunity, people on the phone, for some free consulting here. So
Yeah, if anybody has a
pop that
NAICS code,
NAICS in the
okay,
chat.
I see. I think it's Ciara, or man, I feel like I'm messing that name up, but we're gonna throw it in here. We have 322291. See what we got here. Whoops. Here we go. 32291. All right, sanitary paper product manufacturing. Okay, so here's one. This is going to be very interesting for you because I actually saw somebody, this happened not too long ago. So we've got there's not a ton of money spent in this particular NAICS code. So we've got about $6 million over the past 7 months. So not a ton, because this is from October 1st, which is the beginning of the fiscal year. Okay, I see a lot of NAICS codes coming in. Great. But this is one that's really funny, because I saw that there was some that shows up for toilet paper particularly. I saw some show up in just the general paper NAICS not too long ago. And it was, so there's sanitary paper. Oh, come on, where is it? Okay, here we go. I saw it show up here, which this makes it really sound like this is just going to be exclusively like paper that, like magazines even, except for this is except newsprint. So just all kinds of general paper, copier paper will end up here, but there will also be toilet paper here. And you can see that there's a lot more money spent here in this NAICS code. So I thought that was pretty funny. And it would even show up here, photographic film, paper, plate, chemical manufacturing. You wouldn't think that it would, but I saw some stuff show up here. So really interesting. So that's great, fantastic. And let's take a look under 811310. Oh wait, hold up. Preston put in construction. So there's all kinds of different construction areas that I would recommend downloading this. And then if you filter by keyword instead, you filter by word, you can see that there's commercial and institutional building. There's, you know, a decent amount of money there, $17.3 billion in the past 7 months. And then we got other civil engineering, highway, street and bridge. So kind of filter it based on what you're looking to do down based on that. And then we had Mike with 811310. Let's see what we've got here. Commercial and industrial machinery and equipment, except automotive repair and maintenance. So you got a nice $750 million. There's a lot of money there. 6,700 different contracts won that, and it's commercial and industrial machinery and equipment. So yeah, depending on what you're looking for repair, you can also end up under some remediation NAICS codes and things like that. But this is great, fantastic, awesome. Yeah, I would definitely kind of, once you sign up for your 7-day trial, plug this NAICS code in there and see what you're getting. And then we might even want to filter down more on PSC. Anybody who signs up, you'll get a personal meeting with myself, and we'll kind of go over your account and make sure that you're seeing what you actually want to see from the information that you're getting. All right, Helene put in the classic one, 541330. This is the biggest NAICS code of the past 7 months. Engineering services, 115,000 contracts, splitting $35.4 billion. Massive. And part of the reason it's massive is because it's a very, very general code. Engineering services could be mechanical engineering, it could be electrical engineering, it could be architecture, it could be, I'm sure that some train drivers have ended up in here for train engineers. I would not be surprised. So there is a lot of kind of nonsense that goes under here. But there is, you can get more specific with PSCs a little bit, but engineering services is a very broad category, and just be ready to kind of see a lot of different things if you got that one in there. TJ put in 541512. I'm actually going to do you one better, and I'm going to go with all the 54151s, because each of these could all have value for you. So we've got computer systems design services here, which is a big IT NAICS code, right? So we're looking at 49,000 contracts, splitting $28.5 billion, just a massive massive NAICS code, as well as 541511, which is custom computer programming services, $10.6 billion, and then computer facilities management as well, for another $3.4 billion, split in 7,200 different ways. There's also other computer related services, which is where you start to get into that really broad category, right? Anytime it's an other category, it's going to be really broad, and you're looking at 137,000 different contracts, splitting $29 billion. So there's still a lot of money there. It's just tricky when you get into other computer related services, because it could be anything really happening there. Fantastic. That's awesome. Let's look at, I'm assuming I'm saying it's Tyan or TN. I'm sorry for butchering people's names today. But we're looking at another really big NAICS code for you, 541611, Administrative Management and General Management Consulting Services. This word general management consulting is brutal for this NAICS code, but there is an insane amount of money here. 92,000 different contracts splitting $18 billion, just about, over the past 7 months. So just an insane amount of money here. There's a lot of room here. We see a lot of different things end up here, from temporary staffing, even though staffing does have its own NAICS code. We even see some of that end up here. We see all kinds of different consulting services, all kinds of program management, a great many things end up here. But fantastic. Then we've also got Ashley with 325611. I'm not sure what this one is off the top of my head. I don't have them all memorized quite yet. Soap and other detergent manufacturing. Okay, so this is an interesting one. So we've got 72,000 contracts split $30 million. So there's a high contracts there. It seems like they're just buying, you know, bars of soap or different soap dispensing. If I were to guess for that, a lot of this probably ends up in another couple categories with where we see a lot of janitorial stuff end up, which is 561210. If I were to guess, I'm not sure exactly what kind of soap and detergent you're making, but we see all kinds of stuff end up there for facility support, just because they're doing that. I think there is something else for janitorial. Let me see what we got. Janitorial services, yep, $1.4 billion, 9,700 different contracts. So you might end up seeing some stuff show up under here as well for your soap, if you're dispensing the soap, if you're selling the soap. Let me see what we got here. Okay, we've also got Suzanne put in a lot of different NAICS codes. So you put in that 541611 that we went over a little bit. You've got 524126. I don't know that we're going to go over all these, but we can at least take a look at them. Oh, I'm just filtering by description right now. Give me 1 sec. Gotta use Excel properly. Okay, 524126. Let's take a look at this guy. Direct property and casualty insurance carriers. So there's a little bit of money there, not a ton. Let's see if we can rapid fire through some of these. 541613, 4161. You also had 611 in there. We'll take a look at that again. This is by far, it's one of the biggest NAICS. As you can see, it's 13, which means it's really ranked about number 9 in total of the past 7 months. And then we can see physical distribution of logistics consulting. I don't know if that's in your space, but you put 1.3 as well, which is marketing consulting services. You could end up here as well for other management consulting services. This is pretty big. You got $1.5 billion almost, split 2,200 different ways. And then there's marketing consulting services. And then there's human resources. I don't know if you do anything in that space, but 561920. Whoops, we can see what we got here. And then we'll probably do 1 or 2 more. We can do more at a later session. We'll have this session at 2 p.m. where we go into this report and dig in a little bit deeper, where we can probably go into NAICS and PSC as well. I'll see if I can get you guys the sign up link for that in a moment, where you can jump on that session if you want this in a little bit more detail, where we'll probably even get into some of the vendors that are winning some of this money. But we can see about $100 million here in convention and trade show. And that's probably the last one we'll do for this one. If not, worst case, we can jump on a call one-on-one and go review this data a little bit more in person. And we've got Jeff Andrews put in 332312. And again, I'm not sure what that one is off the top of my head. Fabricated structural metal manufacturing. Okay, so here's some stuff. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for. It seems like this is probably going to be a lot of beams and things like that for bridges or buildings and things like that. That would be what I would guess. But this is 49,000 contracts, split $135 million. So there's some money there. We got quite a bit of money there in the past 7 months. And then we've got, you could end up in a number of different areas in any of those construction NAICS codes that we went over earlier, which, as you saw, were massive. when we went to commercial and institutional building construction and things like that. So there's a lot of money there as well. I think a lot of that went in. We've got this one right here for commercial and institutional building construction, was right there. And then 541930 from Julie Thompson. Let's see what we got here. Bam, translation and interpretation services. So we got 23,000 contracts here, splitting over $750 million. So pretty decent amount of money there in translation interpretation. I'm not quite sure exactly what you're looking for. There are also some different areas if you're doing, I don't know if you're doing anything, if you're more looking for like sign language interpretation or other languages interpretation in person, or if you're more so looking for the translation aspect, where we do see some of that in, and some of that will show up in like stenography NAICS codes and things like that as well in court reporting. There are a couple of those. I don't remember what those ones are off the top of my head. Stenographer, court reporting and stenotype. You see some of this. There's not a ton there. Okay, all language services, other languages, remote interpretations. Yep. So there's a little bit there. Let me see what it was. Sten. Nope. And then there's courts. Yeah, I did help somebody in here one time, but there's not as you can see, a lot of it doesn't end up here, and some of it will even end up in that that 541611 that we went over earlier, just because it's such a broad consulting category. This 541611, we see a lot of it end up here, even though there is a more specific NAICS code, which the one you picked out is really good, that all language services one. But you'll see some overflow go here just because there's so much spent here. And it's such a general, kind of generic NAICS code there. Very good. Fantastic. And we can get into, yeah, absolutely. This is really the big one. This is one that's going to have a lot of money spent here, even though it's so broad. You probably don't want to monitor this NAICS code, but you definitely want to be aware that stuff is going to show up under here. Let's see. Yes. So Suzanne, yes, each presenter is going to have, you know, their own kind of thing, depending on which one that you're looking for, what you're looking for. If you're looking for, you know, going after a GSA schedule, or if you're looking to kind of get a capability statement, each presenter is going to be a little bit different. Greg Clark is the one that does the GSA schedule stuff. If you want to pursue that, we can get you their information to go and reach out to them. But for the most part, each person's going to have a little bit of a different kind of structure for the way they do their business. Fantastic. Great question. All right. I think that's most everything. Answered that one. We've got, some people put some questions in here earlier. I'm hoping that these got answered. Yeah, I'm hoping these got answered because I'm not quite as familiar with this one. If you have a question that didn't get answered that you need more information on, reach out to us personally. What I will also do is I will get you guys the information for the registration or the link for today's session later, and we can go into this. We'll continue to be going over this, and usually we can get a little bit more information here because we go into PSCs as well. A lot of people aren't familiar with PSCs, but they can be very valuable because there's more PSCs than there are NAICS codes. And so generally they're more specific. There are a couple here that are really broad, like other professional services and things like that. But for the most part, they're a little bit better. I was talking with somebody on this call about program management support services. Here you go. Here's a great example. This is kind of trims down on that 541611 a little bit. Glad to hear it, Julie. Glad to hear that this was helpful. Again, this report is free. You can pop in and get these numbers here for free, and it's just really beneficial. There's no reason not to have it. Go to samradar.com, you go to resources, and then you can pop down here and click this NAICS spending report. And the reason that, to be 100% honest, if I could be a little bit selfish for a second, the reason we offer this for free is because we know as soon as you see this data, you're going to say, oh my goodness, all of this money is getting spent in Fiverr Few, where Dave was saying earlier, these are all shortlist contracts. These are all non-competed. So we know you're going to see this and you're going to say, I need to go out and build relationships with these people. And then that's where we can come in and really help you go out and build that relationship. That's really what we do. You can check out a free trial with us, kick the tires on us. If you hate it, you won't. But if you do, you can cancel anytime. We are a true monthly membership and you get a free 7-day trial. So click this free trial button and then boom, you're good to go. Again, you'll get a personal call with me where we'll kind of go over your account and make sure what you're looking for, that you get what you're looking for. I'll put that sign up. You can sign up at that link that I just put in the chat. Suzanne said, can you explain PSC? So PSC stands for Product Service Code. It's just like a more specific NAICS code. Generally more specific. It stands for Product Service Code. But very, very good. Awesome. Whew. All right. I think that's the bulk of it. We'll go ahead and kind of close out here. Let me see if I can. I'm going to stop sharing. Does anybody else have any other questions? If you want to raise your hand or throw something in the Q&A or in the chat, I'm monitoring the chat pretty heavily right now. I'm going to pull up the link for today's later session at 2 p.m. I'll be taking charge on that one. So I'd love to kind of go over that with you guys and see what it is that we can do for you. See if there was any more NAICS codes we could find for you or anything like that. Let me see if I can find the link for this session. Here we go. Here's this link. I'm going to post it right here in the chat. Is there a demo/webinar for Sam Radar? Well, we did a little bit of that demo there. And Dave went over a little bit of how to kind of see the information that you want to see when it comes to your email. And when the awards that'll come in and what they look like. I'll share out real quick one before we go ahead and close out. Here's an example: 740 grand, right? This was awarded yesterday. Okay, this just came out. It was awarded to Dell Federal Systems. I'm monitoring on IT for my demo search. Number of offers received, it's blank. It's not reported. If it's not reported, that means one. We already kind of went over that. So we know that Tanya Stevens with the EPA has a phenomenal relationship with Dell Federal Systems, right? And so we have a few different avenues that we can explore here. First off, we definitely want to make sure we reach out to Tanya. We give her a phone call. We shoot her an email. If we want to click this little contact buyer button, it pops out the email for us automatically. If this was 4 months ago, Tanya is not going to remember it. I know I don't remember what I did 4 months ago for sure. But because this was yesterday, this is very top of mind for Tanya. And so we want to reach out, touch base with her and start to build that relationship and say, hey, what's your preferred contracting vehicle? And talk to Tanya about contracting related things that she knows about and go over that. We also have the ability to reach out to the prime. If we click this little prime contacts button, it takes us right into the system. And then we can see the contacts that we have at that given company. So we can see we got Renee, we got Dennis, and we got Margaret at Dell. And these are different contacts we have over there. We've also had people have success reaching out to Tanya to do some subcontract work for Dell. And because again, like Dave was saying earlier, Dell doesn't know your relationship with Tanya, right? And so they don't want to necessarily have a bad, they don't want to necessarily throw you to the curb right away. And then last but not least, my favorite feature is that you have the ability to track the prime. So let's say Dell's a really good competitor to you. You click track prime, you will get a notification every single time that Dell gets an award. And it's going to look a little bit more like this, like I'm monitoring Kodiak. Boom, $3.7 million contract award was awarded yesterday to departmental offices. Number of offers received, 1. Okay, this is one of 4 awards today that they've gotten. They got $3.7 million, 1 offer received, right? So that means that Sherry Reiser has a really good relationship with Kodiak Management. And so we want to reach out and build that relationship with Cherry because we know she's buying in our space, right? And so that's kind of where we live. And that's the bulk of it. All right, fantastic. I put that information for the later session in the chat. Oh, I didn't put that in here yet. Here, let me throw that in here right there. That's the session at 2 p.m. Copy that out. And we will make sure to get there. Yes, Sam Radar is the platform that I personally that personally pays my checks. I definitely it's so good. I mean, I used to cold call companies personally, and this is the tool that I wish I had because I used to cold call everybody that bought in a given NAICS code in the past 12 months was the way that I used to do it. And that was good data, but the problem was that I didn't have that thread to pull on the date executed. And so this is a much, much more efficient way to do it. And Helene is singing our praises, and we really appreciate that as a customer. So fantastic. Kick the tires on it. Do the free trial. We've got the free trial going. There's no commitment that you have to make. And there's no contract term afterwards. We don't like sucker you in and charge you annually or anything like that. It's a true monthly membership. Check it out. And we'll go over your account individually and make sure that you're getting the information that you want to see. But fantastic. Awesome. Glad to hear that, Suzanne. Yeah, we'll go over your account personally as well. We're big fans of human-to-human interaction, so we always have real humans at our support lines. We're big fans of all of that. We want to make sure to take care of you. We don't want to hang you out to dry later. So we'll make sure that we get you all taken care of. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your day. I'm going to put my information here in the chat as well. I put the information for that, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. Have a fantastic time, and thanks for joining us today. Awesome. Take care, everybody.